Hi guys, this is MonteCristo and Chobra from ggChronicle. We are standing with Azubu Frost, CloudTemplar. He is going to be doing an interview with both of us here, so we'll have Chobra kick it off to start off here. So take it away.
All right, thanks, MonteCristo. So first of all, let's talk about what's coming up. You guys are going to be facing off against TSM next in the quarterfinals. Did you prepare anything special, and what do you think the outcome will be?
네, 아니요. 이건 괜찮아요. 네, TSM하고 경기하기 앞서서 TSM 경기들 최대한 많이 분석했고 그러니까 MAG 경기라던가 최근 있었던 TSM 경기 최대한 많이 분석했기 때문에 준비하는데 그렇게 크게 지장은 없었고요. 예, TSM 상대로 충분히 해볼 만한 게임 될 것 같습니다.
So CloudTemplar says, we prepared. We had a lot of resources like MLG games past TSM matches. So all we had to do was kind of analyze, how they play, their play style. So it didn't really affect any special kind of training. And they feel pretty confident. They think they have a really good chance to go against TSM. So let's follow up on that. There's been a lot of talk about kind of comparing different regions in their kind of team preparations, and TSM has been known to have one of the longer gaming houses in North America. Do you think they use it to their advantage, or do you think still within the house there's more discipline to be had, or do you think it shows in their team of team playing that they've been living together for a while?
이게 지금 TSM 같이 즐기면서 하는 거 뭐 그런 거.
아니 그러니까 TSM이 북미에서 그중 이제 길게 게이밍 하우스를 가졌잖아요.
예.
그게 TSM이 그거를 제대로 쓴 것 같은지 아니면 하우스만 갖고 그다음에 안에서는 그냥 조금 너무 그냥 놀면서 했는지 그냥 그거에 대한 생각 그런 걸 좀 아시는지 걔네가 이제 방송도 하고 그러니까.
그러니까 사실 TSM 포함해서 뭐 다른 북미 팀이나 뭐 CLG도 그렇고 뭐 다 게이밍 하우스에서 게임을 하는 걸로 알고 있긴 한데. 그러니까 좀 한국과는 다른 방식으로 게임하는 거죠. 그 TSM, 그러니까 다른 외국 선수들은 좀 즐기는 성향이 강하다면 그러니까 한국 같은 아시아 쪽 계열은 조금 절실하게 하는 건데 사실 전 어느 게 더 낫다고 생각은 절대 안 해요. 하지만 결국에는 또 지금은 아니더라도 결국에는 즐기는 쪽보다는 그러니까 노력하는 사람보다는 즐기는 사람이 이긴다는 말이 있지만 즐기는 사람보다는 절실한 사람이 이기지 않을까 그런 생각해 봅니다.
He knows that a lot of these teams have moved into gaming houses. They've been trying to use it, but it's a very different sense of playing the game. A lot of the North American teams seems to really just play the game. They really enjoy it. They treat it as a game. While the Korean teams, it is a much different attitude. They do it really in a sense of trying for like desperation. This is what they hang on to, and there's a huge difference there. He doesn't think necessarily at this point anyone is better, but in the long run, you can't really beat out that kind of effort if you're just enjoying what you do. So let's get to know CloudTemplar a little bit more as a player. I know that you are the only one on your team who finished your military service, and you are also the oldest one. Do you think that benefits you as a player, and if so, why?
사실 군대를 갔다 왔다는 사실은 팀에 있어서 장점인 것 같아요. 여러 가지 한국의 좀 엄격한 팀 생활에 좀 쉽게 적응할 수 있는 동기를 만들어 주는데 하지만 나이가 많이 들은 부분에 대해서는 아무래도 뭐 사람들과 얘기할 때나 팀원들과 얘기할 때 의사소통에 관해서는 분명 좀 편하고 생각은 좀 많지만 사실 그러니까 피지컬적인 능력에서는 아무래도 떨어지는 게 사실이고요. 그 떨어지는 피지컬 능력을 메꾸기 위해서 부단히 남들이 생각하지 못하는 머리 싸움으로 좀 많이 유도를 하는 편이에요.
So he says his military service was definitely an advantage. He thinks the discipline that comes with that helps a lot, especially in the Korean team format of how they practice their training regimen. Concerning his age, that he is the oldest and fairly on the older side of pro gamers, he feels the disadvantage in the whole the mechanics of the game, but therefore he tries to take advantage of the fact that he has better communication skills. He wants to draw the game out to the mind game. So he is the known analyst of the team, and even within the game, that's where he wants to take advantage of opponents. Where he can play a little bit of a better mental game and play mind games with the opponents. So that's really interesting. Coming up against then Team Solo Mid, TSM, do you think that, how do you think the matchup against General Odd One, as he is called in North America, people call him the general of Team Solo Mid, how do you think that will work out as their jungler?
정글러 어떻게 생각하냐?
네, 그러니까 어드원이 여기서는 그 군장 같이 이렇게 팬들이 부르거든요. 미국에서는 TSM의 군장. 그러면
지키는 뭐 군장?
네, 그러니까 아즈원이랑 할 때 어떻게 생각하는지.
그러니까 제가 보통 정글러 다른 정글러, 그러니까 모든 다른 팀 정글러들에 대해 나름대로 분석하고 수집하고 데이터를 수집하는데 그 중에서 오드원 선수가 제가 매겼던 북미 클래스 중에선 가장 높았던 선수고요. 굉장히 밸런스가 잘 갖춰져 있는 선수라고 생각해요. 그러니까 좀 약점이 살짝 없는 듯한 느낌인데 그래도 상대하기에 크게 어려움은 없을 것 같고 최소 동수는 가져갈 수 있을 것 같습니다.
So he's researched, of course, a lot of the North American junglers, and he sees Odd1 as one of the highest among the North American junglers, almost to a point where it feels like he doesn't have any distinct weaknesses, but he's still fairly confident that he will be able to match up as a 1 versus 1 jungler status against Odd1 in the upcoming match. So now I know, MonteCristo, you had some conversations with CLG's Hotshot just before, and they played yesterday. So what are your some questions about that?
Well, Hotshot and I talked at length for a long time about a conversation that CloudTemplar and Hotshot had that you overheard actually yesterday a little bit of. And it was CloudTemplar and Hotshot were talking about the differences between the North American team's discipline and kind of practice regimen and how that was different from the Korean teams, and especially Azubu Frost and I assume Blaze as well. But basically I wanted to ask, can you describe that conversation a bit as much as you feel comfortable, and what are your thoughts on the North American scene's discipline for practice, and what do you think that you do better as a team in terms of practicing?
그러니까 어제 그냥 대화에 대해서 조금 얘기할 수 있는 만큼만 얘기해 주시고, 그러니까 크템 선수가 볼 때는 그러면 다른 점이 뭐고 그 중에 한국이 더 잘하는 점은 무엇인지.
그러니까 기본적으로 북미, 그러니까 뭐 일단 CAG에 대해서만 얘기해도 CAG에서는 한국에서는 절대 나오지 말아야 할 그런 대화들이, 그러니까 대화들이 나오는데 가장 대표적으로 하나만 찝으면은 나는 잘했는데 게임은 졌다. 나는 잘했다. 괜찮다. 게임은 졌지만 나는 잘했기 때문에 괜찮다. 나는 이겼다. 이런 말 자체가 사실 한국 마인드적으로는 절대 통용되지 않는. 그러니까 한국은 이기면 다 같이 이기는 거고 지면 다 같이 졌고 나 때문에 졌다고 다 생각하는 거지. 뭐 누구 때문에 졌다, 누구 때문에 이겼다 이런 마인드가 있는 이상 팀 게임에서 절대 발전할 수 없다고 생각하고요. 그러니까 사실 이게 제가 정답이라고 생각은 안 하지만 같은 팀원이고 같이 나가야 되는 팀원이라면 다 같이 그렇게 공동체적으로 생각하는 게 맞지 않나. 좀 더 나은 성과를 위해서. 결국에는 그런 팀들이 더 실력이 늘 거라고 생각하는 편이에요.
So he says they specifically talked about CLG, not necessarily about North America as a whole, but one of the most important things he felt was that CLG's North America seems to have this attitude of even if they lose a game, it's all about the individual. It's like, well, I won my lane, I won my game, and so it's okay. We might have lost as a team, but I played well. And he says in Korea, that's just not an acceptable mindset in a team game, especially for teams like Frost. It's if you win as a team. If you lose as a team. It's not about finding the blame. It's not about finding who was the MVP. It's just it's not acceptable in his point of view. Not to say necessarily that's right or wrong, but in his belief, it is better. It's a team game in the end. You have to have the unified mentality going into the game. And if you win, you celebrate together. And if you lose, you have to reflect together as a team rather than saying, I did okay and that player did not.
Yeah, I have one more question. So Hotshot, in his conversation with me, said that he thought that you, Azubu Frost, had a champion mentality. Do you think you have a champion mentality, and can you describe what a champion mentality means to you?
챔피언 정신?
네, 그러니까 챔피언 정신 방식을 갖고 있는 것 같다고 그러니까 핫샷은 그렇게 생각했는데 클템 선수는 그거에 동의하는지, 그리고 클템 선수한테는 챔피언의 정신 방식이 무엇인지.
그러니까 사실 핫샷 선수가 그렇게 말했을 때 제가 했던 말은 그거였어요. 나는 우리 방식이 절대로 맞다고 생각하지 않으면, 그러니까 뭐가 정답은 없는 방식이라고 생각하면 핫샷 너네 방식으로서는 너네는 게임을 즐겨라. 즐기는 게 너네 방식이고 너네는 그냥 즐기면 된다. 이길 때도 있고 질 때도 있고 우리가 목숨 걸고 게임을 해도 우리도 이길 때도 있고 질 때도 있는 거다. 어느 한쪽 방식을 다른 문화를 서로 배우려고 따라하려고 그러면 그러니까 결국 되지도 않는다. 그러니까 너네는 즐기면 너네 방식대로 즐기면 되는 거지 내 방식이 챔피언 멘탈도 아닐 뿐더러 그 정답도 아니라고 전 생각하고요. 제가 생각하는 챔피언 멘탈이라면 말씀드렸다시피 팀원들이 모두 하나의 생각으로 뭉쳐서, 그러니까 저는 팀원이 정말 가족처럼 되는 그런 분위기 속에서의 우승, 그런 분위기를 만들어주는 그런 팀원 코치진도 있겠고 뭐 그런 환경들이 조성되면 챔피언 멘탈은 자연스럽게 좀 생기지 않을까. 그러니까 단 성적이 설사 안 나온다 치더라도 결국에 보면은 그런 팀들이 성적이 잘 나올 것 같다고 생각합니다.
So he wants to drive the point home that it's not necessarily that he thinks there's a precise answer. And what's the champion mentality? I mean, is that going to guarantee that team a win? He told Hotshot, you know, if you guys want to enjoy the game, if that's your goal, then do it. There's no point in different cultures trying to just mimic the other countries, or cultures, because that way no one's going to grow. You're just kind of copy them for one tournament and then you're going to drop it. It's not going to last a long time. Of course, for them, it is a very different mentality. But he also thinks that Frost doesn't even have the most of the champion mentality, because in his mind, you really need some time. You need to grow as a family. And at that point, even if you lose a tournament, it's not about winning or losing. It's about, you know, having that coach, having that manager, and you grow together as a family. And then in the long run, he does believe, of course we can't tell yet, but he does believe in the long run, those are the teams that are going to come out victorious in these big tournaments. They're going to be the champions in the upcoming seasons. So, all right, so just a couple more questions. Now, aside from a player, I know that you cast often for OGN. I kind of want to ask how that started, and you know, you get a lot of praise for being really good on air. So what do you think makes you a good caster?
그러니까 저 자체가 사실 워낙 말하는 걸 많이 좋아하기도 하고, 제가 가장 좋아하는 것 중 하나가 분석하기예요. 그래서 혼자서 많이 머릿속으로 정리하고 분석하고 혼자 많이 되뇌어보고 생각하기 때문에 그것도 말로 하는 것도 표현하는 것도 좋아해서, 그러니까 사실 토론 같은 걸 하는 것도 굉장히 좋아하고, 어떻게 우연치 않게 계기가 돼서 한번 이렇게 들어가게 됐는데 이렇게 자주 불러주셔서 너무 저도 굉장히 재밌게 하는 편이에요. 그러니까 분석하는 것 자체가 저한테는, 해설이란 것 자체도 어떻게 보면 분석하는 거잖아요, 관중들 앞에서. 그게 저한테 절대 저는 피곤하거나 힘들지 않고 굉장히 재밌습니다. 예.
So, you know, as an individual, he loves talking, and also within the game, he loves analyzing. That's his favorite part about the game. And it just so happened that he got one chance to go onto OGN. He just enjoyed it. You know, this was what he enjoyed doing for League of Legends, and then they started inviting him more and more. So for him, it's not necessarily a stressful thing. It's just built into kind of his hobby lifestyle. And he also loves debating and discussing. So he thinks all of that just comes together to make him a caster, good caster material. And when he goes on stage, he just decides, you know what, I'm just going to enjoy doing this because this is my hobby, and it comes naturally. So that's very good to hear. And now if you guys win against Team Solo Mid, you will go against either, I believe, World Elite or CLG EU. Who do you want to face?
그러니까 CLG EU나 월드 엘리트 중에 어디가?
네, 누구를 만나고 싶은지 만약에 올라가면.
사실 진짜 정말 솔직히 말씀드리면은 EU가 조금 까다로울 것 같긴 해요, 월드 엘리트보다는. 그렇다고 해서 EU가 월드 엘리트보다 강하다는 건 절대 아니고요. 그냥 저희 입장에서는 EU가 조금 더 까다로울 것 같긴 해요. 근데 어느 팀을 만나도 절대 상관은 없으면 일단 그런 거보다는 당장 눈앞에 있는 TSM과의 생각에 지금 뭐 올인되어 있기 때문에, 예, 일단 거기부터 이기고 다시 찾아뵙겠습니다.
So he says, to be really honest, we do think that CLG EU will be a little bit more difficult. They're going to provide some more complications, and that doesn't mean that they think CLG EU is necessarily stronger than World Elite. It's mostly, you know, because of the history of the teams. But at this point, he can't really comment because he's, you know, all of his mindset is now onto Team Solo Mid. So, you know, if they do win, we'll revisit that question and we'll be able to discuss who they want to face tomorrow in the semifinals. Well, so I think that's it for this interview. So thank you very much, CloudTemplar, for joining us. 감사합니다. And this was MonteCristo and I, Chobra, here from ggChronicle. We'll be doing interviews and such throughout the weekend, so come back to our YouTube channel for more.